If you're still finding your feet as a trader and you want a simple yet powerful tool to spot trend direction and get clear buy and sell signals, then this guide to the SuperTrend indicator is for you. Yep, the name sounds a bit gimmicky, but I'll walk you through exactly how it works, how to use it on real charts, and how to avoid the common mistakes that trip up most traders. So firstly, the SuperTrend indicator helps with 4 key things: identifying the overall trend direction, generating clean entry signals, highlighting exit points, and setting trailing stop losses. I'll break down how to use it for all of these shortly, but first let's quickly understand what it actually is. The SuperTrend indicator is built on 2 components: the average true range, also known as the ATR, and this is a multiplier which adjusts the distance of the SuperTrend line from the price. So the ATR actually measures market volatility. It shows how much the price typically moves over a set number of candles. That's usually 14. In other words, it gives you an idea of how noisy the market is. So SuperTrend adjusts to this dynamically, so it doesn't get thrown out by sudden spikes or false breakouts in volatile market conditions. This often happens with momentum only type indicators. The multiplier is usually set between 1 and 3 or even 5, and it controls how tight or loose the SuperTrend line sticks to the price. And this is really important, and I'll show you how to adjust this on the charts later. Higher means it gives the price more room and slower but safer signals. Lower means it hugs the price more tightly, so there's more chance of getting knocked out, but it's going to more closely follow fast moving markets. So here's what the SuperTrend indicator looks like on the chart. So it's pretty simple. When the line is green, it means we're in bull mode. When it is red, it means we're in bear mode. When it flips here, for example, just zoom in a bit, when it flips here, we have our entry signal. And if you notice, there'll be a little arrow here at the bottom of the entry candle. So the entry actually happens here at the top. And for the sell signal, you can see here the little candle, so we'll be getting short here. Seems simple enough, right? But there's a critical issue with this basic approach, which is that the SuperTrend indicator continuously gives you signals. So there's never a moment when it's not telling you to either buy or sell. And this is not always great because there's certain market conditions that aren't trending. And as the name suggests, this indicator is designed for capturing trends. So as the market enters these periods of consolidation or range-bound markets, the SuperTrend can start throwing out fake signals. And that's when traders sort of get caught up and start blaming the indicator. So let me show you an example. You can see here on this chart of Euro USD that the SuperTrend during this period is changing direction constantly. There's no clear trend here. So there's a couple of things you can do. The first thing to do is take note of the time of day. So you don't want to be trading early morning or late in the trading day. You're going to get more sideways choppy conditions then. The second thing to do is actually to use the SuperTrend, but in this case you put it on a higher time frame. So we're on the 15-minute chart here. If we go up to say the 4-hour chart. So we go up to the 4-hour chart and we use the 4-hour chart to determine the longer term trend. So in this case, when we're looking at our buy and sell signals on the 15-minute chart, we're only taking the sell signals because the higher time frame is giving us a clue that the trend is bearish, and we want to always be trading in line with the trend. So this is one of the main ways that I like to use the SuperTrend indicator. I'll use it on the 4-hour chart, and sometimes I'll use the daily chart. So if we put it on the daily chart here, but typically on the daily chart, I'm going to change the settings. Rather than having the 7 and 3 indicator, I'm going to put it on the 7 and 2. This is just going to be a little bit more responsive to changes in trend. So now I'm going to show you how to use this for identifying entries and exits. So what I'm looking to do with the entries is I'm looking to find entries that line up with the longer term trend. So we start by identifying the higher time frame trend. I've got this here on the daily chart on Bitcoin. This is telling us we're in buy mode. And then I'd go down to the lower time frame. So we might go down to say the 1-hour chart, and we're looking for buy signals on the 1-hour chart. So wherever the SuperTrend indicator crosses over, that's giving us the buy signal. So here will be a signal, for example, and then we've got another signal here. So just remember, there's going to be times where the indicator works and it doesn't, and that's why we need to have our risk management in place. In terms of using the SuperTrend as an exit, I like to combine it with the RSI. And the reason I like this is because I'm a trend follower, I'm trying to capture the trend. But when the market gets overbought or oversold, then that's a sign that the trend might be coming to an end, and it can be good to look for exits at this point. So what I'm doing is I'm putting on the RSI. I'm waiting for it to become overbought or oversold, and then I'm using my SuperTrend indicator for an exit. When I'm looking at these types of exits, I'm typically going to use the 7 and 1 period SuperTrend. So when the market gets over Bought, for example, I stay in until we get the signal from the indicator. So here's the signal, exit signal here. You can see the RSI is overbought again here. There's another exit signal. And this trend here would have kept us all the way in, and we have the RSI getting overbought here. So now we can be looking for an exit on our SuperTrend indicator. The other thing I like to do is use the SuperTrend indicator as a trailing stop. So typically I'll have the widest settings on the SuperTrend indicator, the 7 and 3 for the trailing stop. The reason we keep the settings wide is because we want to give our trades room to breathe. And remember, this is a trend following indicator, so it's designed to help us capture the trends. So you can see here on gold, it's done a relatively good job of keeping us in the trend. We would get out here. You have a choice to make whether you would get out as soon as it touches the indicator or for it to close over. And that can really depend on how strongly you want to be in the trend or how much conviction you have, or if you've seen some other price action that might indicate the trend is about to end. And that's how you use the SuperTrend indicator. So the name might sound gimmicky, but when used correctly, it's a surprisingly powerful tool, and it's one of my favorite indicators. With the right application, you can boost its accuracy and avoid common traps that catch many traders off guard. But remember, the SuperTrend works best as part of a broader strategy. Don't rely on it alone. You want to combine it with your other tools and edges in your setup. You can grab our custom built SuperTrend indicator and other free TradingView indicators using the link below. And we have the SuperTrend indicator built into our MarketMates trading platform. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.